Welcome. So we are recording, and I will be posting this on YouTube and within our various Facebook groups. For those who don't know me, my name is Robin Donaldson. I'm based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm the founder of the Team Stacey Abrams Grassroots Facebook group and the Team Georgia Blue group. And so we've been just organizing our efforts to support Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson as she prepares for the Senate Judiciary hearings next week, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And we've just been meeting as a group, a few of us every week, to see what we can do to support her and then to share information with our networks about the process. So when it's time for her to go through her confirmation process and be confirmed, she'll know that she has our support as well as various people across the country. So there's a lot of different groups that are meeting across the country and just doing our best to organize and mobilize our efforts. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right, so this is an initiative that's part of Paths to Peace. Paths to Peace, we're a group of trauma-informed yoga educators, healing artists, and therapists who offer programming and trainings in mental health education, trauma-informed care, and community building. So supporting the next Supreme Court Justice and the first Black woman Supreme Court Justice is an initiative that we wanted to support and put our network behind. So we have Judge Jackson's back, and we will be again doing as much as we can over the next couple of weeks to support her as she prepares for the Senate Judiciary Committee meeting. So the process, we are at the preparation part of the process for the Senate confirmation hearing. After that, once the hearing ends, she'll only need 50 votes. And if there's a tie, Vice President Harris, she will break the tie. And there's going, after that, then there'll be the swearing in process and we can have our celebration. And a couple of weeks ago, there was a recent poll from Demand Justice stating that majority of Americans think President Biden should keep his promise to nominate the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. So again, 48% said yes to 31% no, but again, mostly women, Black voters, voters of all ages, all agreed, the majority of them agreed that President Biden should keep his promise to nominate the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. So it's great that we do have public support around this. And just to give a little bit of background for those who may not have known, but the Supreme Court was founded in 1789. And in that 233-year history, the Supreme Court has only had they've had 115 judges during that 233-year history. 108 out of that, of the 115 justices have been white men. So there's been 2 Black men justices and 5 women justices. I know there's been, representation with various groups, but we're just really focusing on the fact there's been 2 Black men, 5 women justices. In 1967, that is when, so from 1789 to 1967, all of the justices had been white men. And then it wasn't until 1967 that we had our first Black Supreme Court justice, which was Thurgood Marshall. And then in 1981, we had our first woman justice, Sandra Day O'Connor. So up until this point, again, there's been 0 Black women Supreme Court justices until now. And again, just to highlight, 1789 to 1967, 100% of the Supreme Court justices were white men. Black women only make up 3% of the legal profession in the United States, 3%. And Black people only make up 5% of the legal profession in the United States. So this is a huge, huge deal to be able to have Judge Jackson join the Supreme Court. So we will be joined today. We're going to hear a little bit from Judge Nichole Patton. She's a judge with the Cook County Judicial Circuit Court. She is someone who's been a dear friend and mentor to me throughout my life and part of my legal career as well. And she has been someone who has really worked so hard to get to where she is. And I invited her here today just so you can actually hear from someone who is a judge and who's a Black woman, and for her to share some of her insights and experiences regarding this moment, as well as what it will mean to have Judge Jackson on the highest court of the land. So the Honorable Nichole Patton is a circuit judge for the Illinois Circuit Court of Cook County. She was initially appointed to the bench by the Illinois Supreme Court in 2018, filling a vacancy created by the elevation of the Honorable John Griffin to the Illinois Appellate Court. Judge Patton is currently assigned to the county division. She's earned a bachelor's in journalism from Alabama State University and a master's in criminal justice from Chicago State University. She completed her Juris Doctor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, the John Marshall Law School in 1996, and was admitted to the Illinois Bar in 1997. After graduating from law school, Judge Patton began her legal career as an assistant state's attorney in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. And during her tenure there, she held assignments in the Criminal Appeals Division, Misdemeanor Traffic Division, Juvenile Division, and the Real Estate Taxation Division. She left the state's attorney's office in 2001 to become a staff attorney at Liberty Mutual Company, handling personal injury and strict liability matters. She then worked as an associate at Iwan Cray, where she specialized in medical malpractice and transportation defense cases before starting her own private practice as a solo practitioner. Judge Patton eventually returned to the state's attorney's office, and she was assigned to the mental health unit of the Special Prosecutions Bureau, a position she held until her appointment to the bench. Prior to her appointment, she served as a chairperson, qualified arbitrator for the Cook County Mandatory Arbitration Center, and she presided over numerous cases sent from the municipal division of the Cook County Circuit Court. Judge Patton has also served as an administrative hearing officer for the Village of Matson. Her memberships have included the Cook County Bar Association, the Puerto Rican Bar Association, the Black Women's Lawyer Association, and the Chicago Bar Association. She has served on the board of directors for the Lawyers Club of Chicago, and she is joining us today. And again, I hope you will welcome her. Thank you so much, Judge Patton, for taking time out for us today.
Thank you so much, Robin, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. So good evening, everyone. I'm Nichole Patton, and as Robin said, I am a circuit court judge in the county of Cook. So that's the Chicagoland area in the state of Illinois. Here in Cook County, we elect our judges. So there's 3 ways you can become a judge. You can receive an appointment by the Illinois Supreme Court, or you can simply run, or you can go through what we have merit selection, which is called our associate judge process. So I went through election process. And what I love about today, and what I love about today's events, particularly with Judge Jackson, is that it finally puts a light on Black women who are judges, to let everyone know we do exist. And number 2, there have been plenty of Black women who have been qualified for that U.S. Supreme Court position. And unfortunately, we had to wait till 2022 to have a U.S. president who is actually made the campaign promises, actually sticking to his commitment to seating the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. Thank you for all of those wonderful stats, Robin, because it just, kind of make your stomach turn every time you think of that. But most importantly, I'm hoping that this also sheds a light on the importance of judges, because as we know with the Supreme Court, they may receive over 7,000 appeals a year, but they only hear between 100 and 150 cases a year. Guess what? The local judges, we hear that a day. So when people focus on, of course, we love the Supreme Court. They are the law of the land. but very few cases make it to them. We're hoping this also shines a light on our local judges, because I told everyone, and I'll say it again, you should always want to know who's going to stand in judgment of you. Because as local judges, we're hearing cases, like I said, that caseload every day. We're making decisions about your property, whether or not you're getting evicted, foreclosed on, whether or not someone could take your property because they bought your property taxes. We are presiding over cases, whether or not you're going to receive jail time or not, whether or not we're going to take your money. Judges have so much power. And one of the things that I found amazing is when I was running back in 2020, and what happened was, as Robin said in my bio, I ran in the 15th Judicial Subcircuit, and there was a vacancy because one of the judges received an appointment to the appellate court, the higher court, and the Supreme Court needed to fill his vacancy until the end of his term. So I was selected for that appointment. The wonderful thing about receiving an Illinois Supreme Court appointment is that it comes with an expiration date. So if you lose your race, you have to run in the next election. If you lose, then you're no longer a judge. So when I ran in 2020, and actually this was my third time running. So but was my first time running as a judge. What I found is that people had little to no interest in the judiciary. People would tell me that they usually skip the judges. They had no idea who these people were. Some only said they only wanted to focus on the federal elections and didn't really care about the judges, because I think on most ballots, the judges are last. If you have in a jurisdiction where you elect your judges, we're never first, we're always last on the ballot. And even when I was out there campaigning and I would try to talk to people, and people would say, well, I don't know if I want you to be a judge, or I need to do my research on you. And I would always remind people, isn't the first step of research is actually talking to the person? I'm here, I'm ready to answer your questions. And I would always remind them, it's not a point if you want me on the bench, I'm already on the bench. So I would think that you would like to know something about me because I'm running to keep this seat. And I also reminded people, even if you skip the judges, somebody is going to win. You're not going to get rid of us. So you might as well take that vested interest in finding out who you are voting for. Before I took the bench, and one of the aspects I love about Judge Jackson, we know about all of her impeccable credentials. We know that she is overly outstanding. But the fact that she was a public defender just really touches my heart, because she's a Harvard grad. She could do whatever she wanted to do. But to make a decision to be a federal public defender, anybody who's ever an attorney, we represent people. And a lot of the times we're the last voice for these people. Anytime you have someone putting their life in your hands, and that's what Judge Jackson had, people who couldn't afford an attorney. They couldn't hire the fancy law firm or the fancy sole practitioner who's always on television. They didn't have any money. And people always assume that, oh my gosh, she represented bad people. Aren't you innocent until proven guilty? Everyone who's arrested isn't found guilty. It's up to that attorney to look at the prosecutor's case and find out if the process was followed. And as everyone knows, every process is flawed. And the fact that she spent 2 years of her career, when she could have been doing anything she wanted to represent people who totally relied on her. She was their voice in that courtroom. They put their lives in her hands. And the fact that she took that on for 2 years, it's just it's heart touching for me, because when we talk about diversity on the bench, yes, she's a woman of color. Yes, she's a person of color and she's a woman. But we also talk about the diversity of thought too, because I want somebody on that bench who knows what it's like to represent that everyday person, that everyday American, who society has shut out, that society no longer wants to hear from, who society feels that doesn't have a voice, that she was their voice. She knows what it's like to represent the voiceless. That's what I love about her impeccable background, is that she took the time out to say, I'm going to give back and I'm going to represent those who couldn't represent themselves. That's the beautiful range of experience that she brings to the bench. And that's why we're just super excited about her appointment. And as I said before, we want people to get super excited, even on the local level, because even on the local level, there's still is a need for diversity on the bench. And it's 2022, and I was the first African-American in the 15th Judicial Subcircuit that was created in 1992 in Cook County to ever win. I mean, this is 2022 and we're still the first to do this. We're still first. It's not that we're not qualified, it's that we're finally, little by little, chipping away at those obstacles, chipping away at maybe not that glass ceiling, that concrete ceiling. We're like chipping away at it. Like, we do exist. We are qualified. We can do this job. Just give us a chance. Because we, particularly in Cook County, we have a very diverse population. And that's why diversity is so important in our courtroom, because we need to bring that, not only the looks of a diversity, but as I stated before, and thank you, Carrie, that diversity of thought, that we come from different backgrounds, which is so important. Because just because I'm Black doesn't mean that I come from a certain background, because people like to assume that, like, oh, you're Black, so that means you grew up poor with, no parents or anything. That's not true. I had a 2-parent home, steady dad was in the household. I didn't have that background, but my passion is mental health. And as when you was reading my bio, my last assignment as a prosecutor, which I love as a career, because I had an opportunity to represent victims. Also the voiceless that a lot of people don't think about. We sometimes focus so much on the bad person, we don't think about the person that was injured, and their feelings, and me being their voice in the courtroom, particularly for mental health, because the thing with mental health is that it's no respecter of person. Mental health, when schizophrenia doesn't care about if you're white or Black or Hispanic or Asian, it doesn't care if you're rich or poor. Mental health hits everyone the same way. I represented hundreds of families in the courtroom before I became a judge, of families who loved ones found themselves in a mental health crisis and had nowhere to go. Out of Cook County, there were only 5 prosecutors to represent every family in a county of Cook. That's how under budgeted mental health is, but that's a whole nother topic. And I was given that honor to go into court to represent those families. And I'm now doing it as a judge. So that's one of the things that I do on the bench, is we do involuntary civil commitments and civil treatments for people who find themselves in a mental health facility. But I'm sorry, I'm rambling, Robin. I'm good.
Yeah, you're doing great.
So that's what we want to look for in judges, because it's great. Everybody can have a great resume. I'm sure everybody on this call, everyone who's going to watch this video has an outstanding resume, whatever that looks like. But we have to go beyond that paper. Like, who are you as a person? Like, what are your ideals? What are your thoughts? Like, for instance, I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have a special needs kid. So anyone who knows anyone with special needs, related to anyone with special needs, that's a whole nother dynamic. Like, my normal is not everybody else's normal, but that makes me who I am. And those are the things that we want to know about people who are making those decisions on that very important bench that you see that I'm pointing to. Because we have a lot of power in that pen we have. I have the power to, even in mental health, release you from the psychiatric ward. I do civil asset forfeiture. I have the power to give you your vehicle back when the police take it. I have the power to give you your money back if the police take it. I do name changes. I have the power to change your name, all in this little pen. I have a lot of power. So we do the same amount of attention that we're giving to the Supreme Court, because we know what, once Judge Brown, because we know she's going to fly through this with flying colors, just like she just did for her circuit court appointment. Give that same energy to your local judges. Give that same energy. Those judges who are hearing with the Supreme Court here in a year, we hear in a day. Give that same energy and those same questions, or even that same support. Because I always tell people, you know, I would be on the bench and people would say, it's good to see you. We're so happy to see you. And it warms my heart. But at the same time, if you don't vote, I can't get on the bench because you won't vote. You're skipping over me. When you see me campaigning, if you say you don't want to talk to me, you don't have a vested interest in me, then it's hypocrisy to say, yay, Judge Jackson. And then here's little unknown Nichole Patton. And I say, hey, hi, I'm Nichole Patton. I'm running for judge. Oh, good for you. I don't care. So I'm just hoping everyone keeps that same energy, because here in Cook County, we're on the ballot there are judges on the ballot every 2 years. And it's scary that there are people on the bench that residents have no clue, and they're making decisions in your community and you have no clue who they are. So I'll stop there.
No, those are all great reminders. It's so true, because it's like, yeah, you need to know who's sitting on that bench and who they are exactly. And yeah, Kari was saying the same thing. The local level has the most direct impact on our lives. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Could you share just maybe a little bit about just being a Black woman going through, like, as far as your legal career as a lawyer and as a judge, and just, you know, what has that journey, I guess, been like for you?
Before I took the bench, I had practiced over 20 years. So I started off as a prosecutor, and which was a great experience for me. I know that sometimes in communities of color do not look favorably upon being a prosecutor. But what I would explain to people, that prosecutors have a lot of power. Even let me put it this way. As a prosecutor, if we decided to dismiss a case, a judge had no say-so over it. A judge can't stop a prosecutor from dismissing a case. If we never brought the case before the judge would never know the case even existed. So the state's attorney, or the DA, or whatever the prosecutor is called in your county, has a lot of power. And it's important that you have diversity on that side, because most people think like, oh, you should just be public defender, or you should be on that side. We're needed everywhere, don't get me wrong, but we're definitely needed in that prosecutorial role. So I did have an opportunity to do that for 5 years. Then I went to the private sector. So I worked for a couple of firms, eventually had my own practice for 7 years. And then during that 7 years, I had 3 kids. And that's a whole nother story. Children and work, invite me when that topic is on. Your next one. So had 3 kids. So trying to be a wife, be a mother, and still follow my dreams was challenging. You know, I know we like to think that it's easy because that's what they say on TV, like we could do it all. We could do it all, but I just learned to take things day by day and just so I wouldn't drive myself crazy. And then eventually, when my youngest was 2 at the time, got a call from the Cook County State's Attorney's Office that they were looking for former prosecutors to come back to the office. So I decided to go back to work full time. My practice, I would have more flexibility, but then I had to go back to my 9 to 5, which I was happy that I went to, because being a sole practitioner is more than a notion. Being a lawyer and a business person running your own practice is very challenging. But I survived it. And then I went back to the state's attorney's office, and I found that mental health gave me the platform to become more vocal in the community. I had to learn to be more than just a 9-to-5 lawyer, because it's easy to do, because I had 3 kids and I'm like, let me go to work and let me come home. Let me go to work and I'll come home. And I said, no, I have to give back. How can I give back? And I can go anywhere in anyone's community to talk about mental health, because like I stated before, it affects everyone. So I had an opportunity to chair the mental health committee for the Chicago Bar Association. I had an opportunity to go out to churches. I would be invited to church groups, things of that nature, to talk about the legalities of mental health. You know, I've had my mentors along the way. I had an African-American appellate court justice. Her name is Cynthia Cobbs, who helped me to get that appointment. Even when you're older, you still need those mentors, those coaches to help you along the way. Like most people think that just young people need mentors. No, old people need them too. We need our mentors, we need our coaches, and you constantly have to give back. And I told people, even some of the younger attorneys, that I said, I have to groom you because I need to pass this baton down to someone else. And I want someone else to be ready to take this spot, to learn what I didn't know that wasn't shared with me, that I had to learn the hard way. So why should someone else have to learn the hard way now that I have the knowledge? So I'm just a believer in giving back and passing that baton to get the next generation ready, because things that I have to face that the younger generation may not have to face. So whatever we can do to make the process easier for the next generation, I'm all for it. I've had I still have a career, but I had a great attorney career. I mean, I think with any career, you have your ups and downs. I try to stay positive, because I always tell people the only person I can change is me. And perhaps when I look inside and change myself, maybe I can change others. I think it's easy to kind of get caught up in the minutia about everything that's wrong. But I can't function that way, and I have to protect my mental health. So I learned to control what I can't control, and that's me. So that's how I've made it through my career.
I love that. And that's great advice. And then can you, before you go, just maybe share with people any insight that you would give, whether it's to young women, especially young Black girls or women of color, or moms, or just anyone who, you know, wants to maybe go for a certain ambition, and maybe, because I don't know how you do everything that you've done plus be a mom, but, you know, just any advice that you would give to people who maybe have certain ambitions, and you know, maybe it appears that it's huge or there's a lot of obstacles, and just, you know, what you would tell them to keep going forward.
Well, I would encourage everyone to follow your dreams. And I think one thing, what I learned from bumping my head, is to talk to others who have actually achieved your dream. Because guess what? Some people will be more than willing to sit down with you and say, hey, this is how I did it. And this is what you need to do. These are maybe some classes you need to take, some seminars you need to attend, some volunteer work you need to do in order to move forward. For instance, for me, like what I would tell the young attorneys, and it's so funny because I remember I was at a webinar one time and I put in my email address and said, anyone who wants to talk to me about the process, feel free to. It was over 60 people, only 3 people reached out. And that was like almost 2 years ago, and we still keep in contact with each other. I'm like, if somebody is offering you, take it. If their hand is out, take that hand and go for it. Because a lot of people say, well, I wish I had a mentor. I wish I had someone to talk to. And then someone says, come on, let's talk. And they go, oh, no, I was playing. I didn't want to talk to you. But one of the things we have to do, we have to be vetted by the bar associations. So I told, what I always tell young attorneys is their applications, particularly for the associate judge process, is online on the Illinois Supreme Court. Pull it, look at it, start just filling it out, not submit it, just fill it out and then take a look at it and see where those blank spaces are. If they said, have you ever written an article, and you see that's blank, or they'll say, have you ever done work in a bar association? What pro bono work have you done? Then you know what you need to do in order to be successful. Don't wait till the last minute and say, oh, I want to be a judge. And then you pull the application and go, oh, MG, like I need to do this, and I didn't volunteer, and I need to do this. Look at it now, start filling it out. If you think your work experience is weak, guess what? The person who's evaluating is going to think is weak too. If you don't think you have enough stuff, guess what? You probably don't have enough. But now you know, so you can have a checklist of things that you need to do. So generally here in Illinois, you have to have at least 10 years. So when you reach that 10-year mark, you can say, now I've checked all the boxes. Did I know that? No, not at all. I had to learn the hard way. But it's just simple things like that, like have the conversation. And now, COVID has been, horrible at times, but COVID has brought out a lot of positive things. And there's been so many webinars that I've learned so much from people that I would never have had an opportunity to hear from across the country, because we're all on Zoom. Take advantage of those webinars. So many of them are free just to listen to. I even listen to experienced judges when they have webinars. I'm not immune from it. I turned it on and listened to all the experienced judges tell me about how they became who they are, and the obstacles that they've reached and advice that they would give. And I always take notes. And that's the same, I think, with any profession. Just have the conversation. Eventually somebody's going to talk to you. And I know some people say, well, and it was the same happened to me. I'll reach out to someone who will say, come on. And then they never respond to an email. They never respond to anything. And I always said I didn't want to be that person. So right now, I'm not that person, because people talk to me and people just simply say, Judge Patton, can I have a Zoom call with you? I'm thinking about running for judge. I'm like, okay, let's get the conversation, because I just think knowledge is power. But it's a faith walk. Like I'm a believer, so I believe in God and I have faith in God. And I have to take a risk. Like nothing is guaranteed. And if you're not willing to take that risk, then guess what? Nothing is ever going to happen. You have to put yourself out there. Is it easy? No. And particularly in politics, just like running for judge, people say the nastiest things to you. People just say whatever they want to say. People say some very hateful things. But I couldn't let that stop me, because I felt like I was needed on the bench. So, and just like Judge Jackson, I mean, look at all of the attacks that she's under. I mean, people don't understand what it takes to put yourself out there. Like we applaud, like, yeah, I'm sure it's threats on her life, her family's life. People are questioning her, which is just trying to belittle her, just everything. But she keeps that smile on her face and she keeps moving forward. And she's a testament to what we all have to do. She could have said no, she could have declined, because she knew what was going to come, that people were going to come for her, and they come for you on a local level. But you can't make that, you're always going to have bullies anytime that you try to go for your dreams. You're always going to have people to try to stop you. You're always going to have those roadblocks. You got to make the decision whether or not you're going to let those roadblocks stop you, or if you're going to take a deep breath and keep that smile on your face and keep moving forward. So.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm just so honored and proud. And you have just such an amazing career, and you always give great advice. And I think, thank you so much for taking your time out, because I know how busy your schedule is as a mom, as well as a judge and a wonderful sorority sister. And Brittany saying thank you in the chat.
Thank you. You're so welcome, Brittany.
Yes.
Hi, Mom. I see Barbara.
Yes, my mom's on here. And Kari saying thank you too.
Thanks, Kari. Thanks, Christy.
Yeah.
Is it Priya? Did I say that right? Priya?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jamia, thank you for joining.
Yeah, if anyone has a question.
Sorry, it was Priya. I was trying to.
Priya, okay. I love
Uh,
that photo of you and your daughter. Super.
Oh, you're so sweet. This is what I really look like. Sorry.
Thank you for joining, everyone. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yes, and please
Have a good evening.
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
let
you.
us know when you're running again, so we can do something special for you as well.
I appreciate it, Solor.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
You too.
Judge.
For having me again. Take care.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Wonderful. I'm so glad everybody had an opportunity to spend a little time with Judge Patton. So we're going to continue on. I won't make this like a real, long drawn out thing. I know some of you have been on our calls before, and I always send around a link for the replay as well as the slide deck if you want to use that for your own organizing and mobilizing. So most of us, are familiar with Judge Ketanji Jackson's, her background, and I'll get to more of that in a second. Sorry, let me put this little box up here. Okay. And as Nichole mentioned, she would be the first federal public defender on the court, and she'll be one of the only, the second justice to have represented criminal defendants. The only other justice who has done that was Justice Thurgood Marshall. So again, diversity in thought there as far as who is on the bench. So what we're doing right now, we're in the phase 4 pre-Senate Judiciary Committee hearings. So that's the current phase we're going to talk about. So for those of you, sorry, one second, enable, okay. For those of you who may or may not know, the Senate Judiciary Committee is a standing committee of 22 US senators whose role is to oversee the Department of Justice, consider executive and judicial nominations, and review pending legislation. So there are Democrats and Republicans on this committee of the 22 US senators. So the majority are the Democrats right now, and they are chaired by Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois. And the minority ranking member is Senator Chuck Grassley out of Iowa. So just looking at this list, the senators who are the Democratic senators are Patrick Leahy, Dianne Feinstein, Sheldon Whitehouse, Amy Klobuchar, Chris Coons, Richard Blumenthal, Mazie Hirono, Cory Booker, Alex Padilla, and then my Senator John Ossoff. So those are the Democratic senators on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And then Republicans are Senator Lindsey Graham, John Cornyn, Mike Lee, Ted Cruz, Ben Sasse, Josh Hawley, Tom Cotton, John Kennedy from Louisiana, Tom Tillis, and Marsha Blackburn. So if any of these people are your senators, they're going to be very, very, very important to this process. So just, make note of that. If your senators are not listed on here, that's okay too. They're still going to be important in all of this as well, because they have a vote. Excuse me. So I want to just go through real quick the timeline. So you're aware. So right now, the week of March 14th, Judge Jackson will continue visiting senators on Capitol Hill. They will be meeting with Judge Jackson. I know my Senator John Ossoff met with her last week, and they had posted a photo on social media. So again, she'll be visiting people in person. And I know President Biden had mentioned that he wanted to get her in front of as many senators as possible, because all of them will have a vote, a final vote. But March 21st, that's going to be our major day and a major week. That is when the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings begin. So we'll talk a little bit about what to do leading up to that point. And our next meeting will be the first night of the hearings. So so March 22nd through 23rd, those are going to be longer days. It'll be 2 rounds of questioning by each senator. So the first round of those 22 people on the Senate Judiciary Committee, the first round, each senator, it's 22 of them on the committee, each senator will get 30 minutes apiece to make statements and to ask questions. And then after that first round, after all of them go, then they'll do a second round of questioning where they'll get 20 minutes, each senator apiece will get 20 minutes. And then they may or may not do a third round, which will last for 10 minutes per senator. So this happens it starts on March 21st, but most of the questioning will happen March 22nd and 23rd. And then on March 24th, there'll be closing remarks. Specifically, the American Bar Association will be making their endorsement and leaving remarks, as well as family members and other people in Judge Jackson's life. So that'll be an interesting day. Then the next week, from March 28th to April 3rd, it'll be a gap week per the Senate procedural rules. Then the week of April 4th, sometime between April 4th and 8th, there'll be a floor vote. So again, she'll only need 50 votes. And if there's a tie, since it's a 50-50 split with our Senate between parties, but if there's a tie, then Vice President Harris will come in and break that tie for the 51st vote. But again, that'll take place between the 4th and the 8th of April. And then April, we really want this vote to take place no later than April 8th, because then the Senate will be going on recess for 2 weeks, April 8th, and we don't want to drag this out and drag this process out, especially because she has already been confirmed for her various federal and various seats, and she's been confirmed by a bipartisan vote. So there really isn't a total need, for her to, for this to drag on, because she's already been confirmed more than one time by a bipartisan group. So what does Judge Jackson bring to the table? So again, she is bringing a diversity of lived experiences, and like Judge Nichole was saying, in addition to her resume, of her Harvard and, this and that, all of that is important. But what also makes her, specifically different as the first Black woman Supreme Court justice is she's bringing a diversity of lived experiences. It's a Black woman legal professional. She's had family members in the law enforcement, also family members who've gone through the prison system, and she's been on the U.S. Sentencing Committee. And so again, she's bringing all of those perspectives and experiences to the bench, and she will expand, challenge, and enhance the discussions and debates. So I've heard some people, they're saying, oh, she's going to be in the minority group of the votes, or not of the justices, and she won't be able to have as much of an impact because she's not going to be a tie-breaking vote. But the fact that she is the first Black woman on the bench, she is going to change and enhance some of the discussions and debates. So you never know, excuse me, how her perspective and her thought process could impact somebody else on the bench. And then her dissenting opinions will be important, because those will live on forever and ever. So it's important to, again, have someone like her writing these dissenting opinions, and she'll have representation for all young girls, Black girls, young girls of color, to see that, there can be a Black woman on the Supreme Court. So what's the best way to support her as the first Black woman Supreme Court justice? Excuse me. You want disciplined messaging plus excitement. So I know a lot of times, we hear, the Democrats don't know how to message, and, they mess up, they don't know how to communicate their message. Well, this is a perfect opportunity for you to practice in your own areas and networks, because it doesn't matter if it's just one person or two people, everybody is able to reach out and to their networks and to influence others. So just starting with your own story, of who you are, if you're a legal professional or work in the legal system, or even if you don't, if you're just a vote, not just, but if you are only a voter in the process, that's still talking a little bit about who you are. So you want to share who you are and why you care about this exciting moment and why it's so exciting. So sometimes people might talk about issues or history or personal anecdotes. And, it's always great to applaud President Biden for following through on his promise and to focus on Judge Jackson's qualifications, experience, and character, and what she brings to the bench. Also, you can always connect what you represent, integrity, justice, fairness, and why other people should join you. So again, you want to focus on your story, who you are, why you care, and then tie in Judge Jackson, some of her qualifications and experience, and why this is such an important moment for you personally or in history. So of course, she's going to experience some attacks. They're already happening. It'll be a combination of racism, sexism, and then Misogynoir. For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it was a term coined in 2010 by Moya Bailey, who was a gay Black feminist student at Spelman College here in Atlanta. And she came up with this misogynoir as it's a combination of anti-Blackness and misogyny that Black women specifically experience. It's at that intersection of race and sexism, and it's just a very specific form of oppression that really promotes a dislike, a contempt, or some kind of ingrained prejudice against Black women. So you will be seeing a combination of those things happening. Senator Dick Durbin, the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, he is of Illinois, or in Illinois, senator in Illinois, he said he is very concerned about how Republicans will treat her because he has said in the past that GOP senators have disrespected previous Black female nominees, one of whom received death threats afterwards. And Judge Patton, she alluded to that when she was speaking. So again, this is why this support for Judge Jackson is extremely important. We've heard some of the Republicans attacking her, credentials, wanting to see her LSAT scores, which is a legal test you take before you even, can apply to law school. Why those scores will matter at this point when this woman has had a long career, just an impeccable resume to get to that point is, it's, they're just trying to discredit her. And so, we're going to hear her call a radical leftist judge by the right. Susan Collins, a senator, she didn't believe it was in good taste for President Biden to say he'd appoint a Black woman, even though Trump and Ronald Reagan said similar things when they were president in the past about appointing women, and it was specifically a white woman that they both appointed at the time. That was okay. Susan Collins didn't have anything to say about it then. So these are just kind of, some of the little petty attacks that we're going to see. So what we're being told is on the way to push back against racism is, number one, not to focus on it, or not to focus on the GOP's racism and attacks. Not to say don't focus on racism, but don't focus on the GOP's racist attacks. And then if you do need to talk about race or you want to comment about it, share your stories of racism, discrimination, injustice, or you can just even, share that you're not in support of that and that she is a very qualified candidate with a very strong character and work ethic and very strong in her integrity. So again, we don't want to focus specifically on the GOP attacks. That's what they want us to do, to change the narrative, but we want to just share our own stories. And then I would say the top 3 messages to take going forward is just the historical nature of this moment of, again, having a Black woman on the Supreme Court after 233 years, also her qualifications and why this moment is important to you and your community. And if you're ever unsure about what to talk about or what to post, you can always go under any of these hashtags and you can always share this information from whatever post that you see on social media. So again, I'll be sharing all of this at the end, so don't worry about, trying to keep up with notes. And who and where we want to share this message with, everywhere. So even just starting to talk to your family and friends and colleagues, people in your community, strangers, it doesn't matter, just start chatting people up about this moment, especially as the hearings begin, because they'll be all over TV, people will be talking about them. And you don't want to ever just assume that people are coming from the same point of view that you are, or understand the significance of what's happening. So again, striking up conversations, word of mouth, social media, across all platforms, speaking with your professional organizations. If you belong to a professional organization, depending on what it is, maybe they can release a statement about their support of Judge Jackson, or maybe you can release a press release or make an announcement. And then, of course, there's in the comment section of Facebook, blogs, newsletters, op-eds. Those are other great ways to get this message out. Churches, faith communities. The Supreme Court impacts every part of our laws and all of our societies. So, it doesn't matter who, anyone that you can speak with and get this information out will be beneficial. So as far as calls to action, starting now, talking about Judge Jackson's story and qualifications, sharing, information about it with people, because a lot of times people are not following around with the news, especially with everything happening in Ukraine, and it could be just very, hard on people to be watching the news and keeping up with everything. So people might have tuned out. So don't assume people know about Judge Jackson and her story and qualifications, and keep, stay disciplined on messaging and tying in your own personal story, and then calling your senators, especially senators on the Judiciary Committee. So just if your senators are on the Judiciary Committees, go ahead and start calling them this week. And then as we get into next week, when the hearings begin, we'll be wanting to call all of our senators. Doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter if you're in a blue or red state. The point is they have a vote, and we want to make sure that they know we're paying attention and that we support Judge Jackson. And then just continue to maximize your network, share across, social media information on Judge Jackson. And you can also invite more people to our rapid response group. The registration link, I'll send that out. And so next steps, I created a hub of information. So it's all in a Google Doc. I will send out the link after we get off the phone. So all you'll do is just click on that link, and then I'll have, if you haven't been there already, there's photos, memes, things that you can share across social media. There are articles you can share. There's the bio of Judge Jackson, all kind of information. So I will constantly be updating this rapid response hub. So again, you'll just have the link, and then you can click on that link at any time, and you can take information as you like from that one document. That way I don't have to send out a bunch of emails. But as the hearings come up and as the questioning starts next week, there will be a lot of attacks potentially from some of the Republicans, and we want, and maybe, not maybe, but they will be questioning, some of her decisions. She's only been overturned, I think 2% of her cases have ever been overturned. I know the right is trying to make a big deal because she was a public defender, federal public defender for someone who was being detained at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Excuse me. And so they're trying to make a big deal over that. So there's going to be certain attacks that they will be making, and we want to be able to push back, and we want to be able to support her. So I will have talking points and all this kind of information that'll come, some from the White House, some from Win with Black Women and other organizations that are mobilizing behind this. And a lot of this messaging and information has been tested, and the messaging is very strong. So we want to, stick with that. So again, back to that disciplined messaging that we would like to see from Democrats. Let's us, we're going to do it. So again, I'll give you that Google Doc link that'll take you right to the Rapid Response Hub, and I will update that information daily until she's confirmed. So you're welcome to take any information from there. So after this call, you'll receive an email from me with that Google Doc link to the Rapid Response Hub, a replay of this meeting, and I'll also include this actual presentation if you want to, share it with others, or if you want to, present it to other people, that's fine. I just ask that people don't add in slides or remove slides just to keep the integrity of this actual deck and presentation, or if you want to invite me to speak to your organization, complimentary, I'm totally open, and I welcome that as well, because we want to get as many people behind Judge Jackson as possible. So this next phase, next week, that'll be phase 5, the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, and we'll have our next rapid response meeting next Monday evening, same time, and we'll just probably do just a quick little debrief or wrap up of that first day of the hearings, and then prepare for the next few days where the questioning and things will start to heat up from both sides. Will be doing their questioning, so we'll be ready to go to push back against any false information or misinformation, or just any blatant racist or sexist or misogynoir attacks against Judge Jackson. So please remember this moment. You were in the room. That is coming from the President Biden and coming from the White House and administration. They can't call and include everybody in every meeting at the grassroots level, but they are working with different grassroots leaders, people like me and others and other organizations, and they're passing this information down with the hopes that we will get this information out on their behalf, and to know that you are making history by being part of this initiative. And please know that you do have influence. So again, even if you're not on social media, or you're not comfortable maybe posting on social media, then just start talking to family and friends, coworkers, people in the grocery line and whatever, and let them know how important this moment is and what it means to you. So again, my name is Robin Donaldson. So again, this is our little initiative we're doing through Paths to Peace to support Judge Jackson and to be part of history for the first Black woman Supreme Court Justice. And also we've been working in partnership with Win with Black Women and She Will Rise. And I, again, will include their websites and toolkits and information in the Rapid Response Hub. So you'll have access to that link and all of their info. So I will stick around. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself, or you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, yeah, Brittany, I can, I'll send you my number via the chat. But yeah, if you have any other questions or information that you want to share, you can unmute or you can write in the chat. Otherwise, I will see everyone next time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, and I like to join the hubs.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be sending that out. Yeah, you'll get an email from me like within the next 24 hours.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. You are welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, yes. Thank you, Jemiah. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Feel free to unmute so I know if you like.
Oh, yes.
Jamia?
It's Jamia, but that's fine.
Jamia, okay. Thanks, Jamia.
Great presentation. Thank you for
You're welcome.
taking the time out to arrange all of this. So,
Yes. Absolutely. No problem. I'm very excited. We need some excitement with all the sad things happening in the world. So this is, yeah, so I always tell people when you get the victories and the wins, you really want to enjoy them. So it'll be nice to help out Judge Jackson and see her on the bench.
You're absolutely right. And I was commenting to a friend of mine the other day. I said, there's a lot that's going wrong, but there's a lot that has gone right in our lifetime. And we do need to take moments to celebrate it. And so this is another opportunity for things to really go well and go right for us and to have an impact for generations to come. So
Absolutely.
This is exciting. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. All right. Well, have a wonderful evening, Kari. See you later, Mom. Take care.